Okay, let's see. We're good to go? Good to go. Nice. I'll just do the same thing today. That's the plan. I have a story to tell, so it might be less of a ramble today. I debated on whether to make a video or to stream. I could have done a video and talked about this one specific idea, but ultimately streaming is more fun. So we'll go with that. Anyway, the story I have to share is about Reddit. Reddit is interesting to talk about. We'll talk about the subreddit sciences. Now, when you use Reddit, sometimes Reddit allows you to post on your own subreddit. So you have your own subreddit. But then, sometimes, for whatever reason, Reddit only allows you to post whatever you were going to post on a different subreddit. I don't know why they do this, why they pick and choose when they're going to allow this or not, but they do. So, when you're faced with the mandatory posting on a different subreddit, you have the choice, obviously, whether to post or not post at all, and hope that the next time you post, you can only post to your, or you have the option to post to your subreddit only. But there is an advantage to posting on a bigger subreddit, and that's the audience capture. Now, the post related to this discussion was pretty interesting. It was talking about the possible evolutionary benefits to having ADHD. Now, the article made the claim, or was discussing the possibility, that ADHD traits developed as a way of helping people forage for berries more effectively. And of course, this has a cascading effect to increasing the survivability of a society. Now, this was just an interesting article, and I wrote a somewhat easy caption, and apparently the combination of the caption and the article caught a lot of people's attention. Now, the caption I wrote was the following. I said, every abnormal behavior has an advantage. Now, this post is probably my most successful post. Actually, it was by far. In one day, so in one day, got seen 50,400 times. Now, that is huge audience capture. Just for comparison, my best YouTube video has been seen. Let's change the color here. Let's go with orange. Has been seen 26 26. That's interesting. It changes the font size to 26. That's cool. 26,000 times. Just for comparison. Now, let's get to the disagreement that only one person had. Maybe technically two people, but one person, I would say, had a lesser disagreement than the other. I would say the first person's disagreement was more of a almost insignificant misunderstanding. So, a misunderstanding that was not of consequence. You could tell the first person was not. So let's say first person was let's say well-meaning. Maybe just lacked understanding. Now, this person made the argument that was, I guess, I can't say this word very well, was tangential to the broader argument, but didn't really touch the specific thrust of the argument. He was making the point that ADHD shows up in children when they get overwhelmed, which isn't wrong, but it doesn't touch the underlying thoughts of the article. The underlying thoughts of the article being the evolutionary basis for ADHD. So I think that person was just talking about something different, and then said that because I'm talking about something different, therefore evolution is not involved. And that's not a correct argument. But I would be very, very charitable to this person. I even wrote a comment saying, I'm not quite sure what you mean by your comment. But because his comment was so, I guess, let's see if I can spell this word correctly. Unmoored? It was so unmoored. It got downvoted about 15 times. And I even wrote a comment addressing somebody else's comment that was kind of not understanding what the person had wrote, just like me or myself. I wrote that person was well-meaning and didn't deserve 15 downvotes. Now, to the second person. This person was interesting. Overall. Let's see if I can fix this. There you go. It was interesting. And very tiresome. Okay, cool. Okay, now. The second person clearly disagreed with the thrust of the article and the argument presented in the article. Now, as I said, the argument presented in the article was highlighting that things like abnormal behaviors have roots in positivity and can still be positive to this day. Now, this isn't controversial, or it really shouldn't be. If you look at things like bipolar disorder, and you cannot read that font with this background, so let's change it. Or you can't read that with that particular color with this background, so let's change that. You gotta go darker. If you look at things like bipolar disorder, we could say, well, that's creativity, which helps in survivability, which is surely the case. Same thing with ADHD. So, there is reason to believe that there is an evolutionary component to everything. I think that is also uncontroversial to most people. Everything you see around you in terms of a biological system got there through evolutionary means. Now, the person who disagreed with the idea that there could be any positives associated with ADHD, and therefore should not have any evolutionary backing. This person made the claim, which I think is ridiculous. It's absolutely unfounded to make this claim, and it's quite annoying. But this person made the claim. This person made the claim that no brain impairment has advantages. Now, this claim, on its face, just looking at real world experience, you could tell without much scientific understanding that this claim is wrong. But what made the claim even worse was what you would call supporting statements made by this person. His supporting statements were really what annoyed me. This person, having made the claim that no brain impairment has advantage, and therefore no evolutionary component, tried to connect ADHD to things like paralysis and being a paraplegic, saying that, and this is also wrong, but I didn't catch this until later. Being a paraplegic, which I'm really upset I didn't catch until later, but being a paraplegic is not a brain impairment problem. Being a paraplegic is a spinal cord injury problem. I'll just leave it at that. It's a spinal cord injury problem. Let's see. So let's write this out. One moment. Okay. Paralysis is a spinal cord injury problem. Okay. It has nothing to do with the brain impairment that you would see in cerebral palsy or ADHD. When I try to tell this person that you can't compare ADHD to things like paralysis not having an evolutionary benefit, I was saying that ADHD is a behavioral. So let's see. ADHD has behavioral consequences. Okay. So if you think back to my caption, I said all abnormal behavior has advantages. So in order for you to essentially make a claim that would say that ADHD has no evolutionary basis or no evolutionary advantage, you would have to pick something that also has a behavioral component. Things like paralysis or cerebral palsy have no behavioral component. That's why there is no advantage to being paralyzed or having cerebral palsy on an evolutionary basis. The lack of a behavioral component takes away complexity. When you take away complexity, you're no longer arguing for a subset of A. You're saying that A equals B, which is wrong. ADHD and bipolar disorder and even depression, schizophrenia, are unique in that their behavioral foundations allow for complexity to essentially maneuver within society. So you find a place within that society, and if you find a place within that society, then perhaps you will be successful in your reproductive efforts, and your genes will be passed on. This person was very, 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 I would say, let's say delusional. It was very delusional. Let's see if I can spell that right. It's very delusional in thinking that if he just says a bunch of scientific jargon, then his arguments will make sense. However, none of what he was saying made any sense because he lacked fundamental comparison. Whoa. He lacked basic comparison. A big portion of understanding science and just being a smart person in general is to understand basic comparison and to understand where your arguments can flow based off of basic comparison. Smart people sometimes can't spell or type, but they don't overreach. They stay narrow. You can display all of these disparate scientific facts that are true in themselves. But that doesn't mean that you can connect disparate facts to outlandish ideas that have no ability to be compared in any sense. And it was a chore. It was quite annoying to point this out to this person over and over and over again, who was very, let's say, insecure. Now, keep in mind, there's a way for Reddit to keep track of whether people like or dislike what you're saying. Like or dislike. So, as I mentioned before, while I was talking to this person, at this time, the post had been seen about 25,000 times. So you can imagine all the downvotes this person was getting. This person got a lot of downvotes. And my responses to this person, so let's see. I went from 45 Reddit karma to 610. So you can see which argument that people favored. This person got essentially run off the thread. And as he got more and more annoyed, as I told him that his comparison with paralysis or ADHD was nonsense, I told him that I had cerebral palsy and that making a claim of paralysis or to say that cerebral palsy should be matched with ADHD is insane. He got annoyed and said he didn't appreciate me. This was a quote. Obnoxiously spreading disinformation. I can assure you, there is no disinformation on my part. Everything I said was true. And the person was told this by the other post participants, and he got very annoyed and started cursing and then left the thread, only to be essentially laughed at later. The point is Smart people don't allow themselves to be beaten because smart people understand the boundaries of their knowledge. They understand the boundaries of their knowledge, and they understand one other thing very well. They understand the limits of comparison. You heard the expression, apples, whoa, that's not going to work at all for that. I got to go darker than that. You've of course heard the expression, apples to apples. This person needs to go to school and learn that expression. Now, I'm not saying that because this one article makes the argument that berries or the picking of berries was beneficial to society. Therefore, ADHD-like traits developed to help that along. I'm not saying that that's 100% conclusive. But what I am saying is that for someone to state, if we go back to the original claim that this person made, for someone to claim right here, let me find it quickly if it's not layered by something else. For someone to claim that there is no brain impairment that is advantageous is crazy. And then even crazier is to support it with a bunch of nonsense that isn't comparable is absolutely insane. Now, I am very negative towards my disability. I see a lot of limitations that are just placed on me, and it makes me very angry. However, this person was much worse than I am. This person wanted everyone to know that under no circumstances is having ADHD a possible advantage. He wants everyone to know that under all conditions, and if he didn't want people to know this, he should have stated it better. Under all conditions, ADHD has no potential benefit, which is absolutely crazy. And yes, when people do say stupid things like this, I am going to make videos or do live streams discussing the stupidity of their thoughts. Because I have the audience to do it. And I think it's important to do. So, another thing that's interesting is that the next day, which is essentially what I thought would happen in the beginning, was a few actual, so let's see, few actual science-minded people had thoughts, and those thoughts were very interesting to read. That's what I thought the post would generate. So it was nice to see that eventually it generated that. And it wasn't just a post for a bunch of people to read and have one person really ruin the experience because he has what you would say underlying emotional issues. There was, to bring this home, there was one really nice comment. Actually, there were several nice comments. But one of the best comments that was talking about the potential for the article to be correct. This person was saying something to the effect of, I have ADHD and I can see how there are advantages to having such a disorder. And he was saying that in his military service, they had to do things that were essentially like standing on a watch or going out in the field and doing patrols or something to that effect. And he said, I was the only person that enjoyed doing this. Everyone else hated it. And I could do it for hours. It's just like I could hyper focus on something and then other people couldn't do it. So they didn't like it. And he said, I would actually volunteer for that assignment because I like doing it so much. So overall, it was a positive, but it was also a positive post with a positive reception mostly. But this one person really had a problem with it. He really let his emotional issue cloud his judgment. Like, he had no judgment. I think it would be one thing if you were to make a flawed comparison and then be told over and over and over again why your comparison was flawed. And then say, oh, I understand why the comparison is flawed, but I still disagree. That would be one thing. That's not what this person did. He's stuck with his flawed comparison all the way to the end. And this really hit home when someone towards the end of his errored reasoning wrote a comment that says or said something to the effect of, after this person said, everything I've said has had a logical explanation, and you've just basically ignored that. And one person wrote something to the effect of, I haven't heard any logic from you, little bro. And this person got so annoyed. He said something to the effect of, yes, you have. You just don't want to accept it because you want to live in a different reality. You know the expression of something to the effect of, when everyone has a problem with you, the problem is you and not other people. Like, you're the problem. This person was being the problem. And the idea that he was saying that I was spreading disinformation about his disability, as if so many of the other people reading the post and commenting on the post also didn't have ADHD, is insane. If my reasoning was so incorrect, don't you believe that the 50,000 other people that read the post and read the comments would have had something to say and told me I was wrong, as opposed to all the people telling that one person he was wrong? Like, at the end of the day, I know people want to bash social media, but social media has a truth value. You can get truth from social media. I understand that a lot of social media is clouded in a glossy fashion, but there is truth to be had from social media. And when you get up to numbers like 50,000, high numbers like that, there is truth in those numbers. So if you get a lot of negative comments towards you, it's because you're wrong. Think about it this way, okay? YouTube is much more selective. I've noticed that it is so hard to get subscribers on YouTube and so hard to get views on YouTube. The way YouTube operates is much more community based, meaning that you can make YouTube a niche community. And you can have a lot of likes associated with that. You can have a few people that like everything you post, so you have a really high like percentage. However, if I was sitting here making videos or doing live streams that were totally incorrect and totally wrong, and started receiving a bunch of negative feedback in terms of negative comments or a lot of dislikes, I would stop making content like that. I only make content like this, or the content I do, because at the end of the day, one, it's true, and two, it's supported by a small community. Now, this was not the typical stream. This was just essentially a story time stream. But I think it's an important story. And if you sit to watch through it, I think you'll understand it. And I think you'll understand that it has value. I just hope that in some way that person can maybe feel better about himself, because again, he was essentially, I said this in one of my comments, he was probably, ooh, I gotta change that color, make it darker. He was probably, what's going on there? Oh, I see. He was probably, no, let's change the color. I'm unsatisfied with that color. Let's change it. He was probably 60% upset with the article and 40% upset with me. And that's a really difficult spot to be in. I think it can be summed up like this. self-hate. I think the dude has a lot of self-hate. Which is understandable. But he made it so public. He made it so public, but not in a constructive way. He made it so public in an almost I guess distressing might be the right word. In a distressing way. I make my depression or self-hatred public, but it's usually in a educational, global, manner or abstract manner. I think if you're gonna have any appeal, you have to go for this way and stay away from this. If you're gonna be educational, you have the ability to grow an audience. If you're gonna be distressing, then perhaps social media is not the place for you. It's almost an hour. Cool. It is cool though. It's cool and also a negative, right? So there let's start a new file. Yeah, why not? Let's go with white on dark red. Or no, let's go with dark red on white. I've noticed that approaches to Reddit one moment. One, you can be funny. Or 2, you can engage in argument. Now, discussing the first is easy. If you're funny, you're gonna get a lot of likes and you can grow. That's the easy one. That's the one everybody likes. Some people are like that. That's why some people are more likable than others. Or 2, you can engage in argument. Now, engaging in argument, let's just say EIA, is very what's the right word? It's very non-peaceful. It's almost capitalistic. If you're funny, then you being funny has no negative impact on somebody else. Okay? So, as you rise, nobody else falls. However, if you are more of the second type on Reddit, which I am, and you engage in argument about things you understand, the only way for you to go up is for you to make other people look foolish. It's for you to make other people be downvoted. Now, other people are downvoted because their arguments suck. Their arguments are bad. And you point that out. The better you are at pointing that out, the more you're going to be upvoted, and the more they're going to be downvoted. However, you can see this as both a negative and a positive. You could say that positively, you're disseminating good arguments and dispatching negative ones. So, let's say GA, good arguments, over bad arguments, right? That's a positive. One moment. Oh, wow. Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. Now, The second one, obviously, the negative of engaging in arguments and taking people down. When you so easily dispatch of someone's arguments because their arguments are bad, you can cause a lot of psychological pain to that person. Now, that person is probably already suffering from psychological pain. But to have a system that rewards you for you're basically, I'll say, Reddit rewards for exposing a pain point. That's bad. And I feel like capitalism does the same thing. Wow, that fit perfectly. Going down the page, that's cool. I don't know. I just wish that. So this is my wish, okay? Let's go with yellow, but a darker yellow. How about we go here? This is. Yeah, that works. I would probably go whiter than that, but that's fine. This is my wish, okay? I wish that people had more experiences with harmony. If people had more experiences with harmony, I feel like everything would be better. Obviously. But the reward structures, so let's say but we are rewarded for be rewarded for disharmony. Maybe, possibly, it's this way. Maybe you can think about it this way. That's not dark enough. Gotta make it darker. Think about it this way. Harmony is not the natural state. It's not the natural state of nature. So, when you feel it, it's special to you. You search for peace. You take note. Take note of it. And then never forget the 5 seconds of it that you experienced years ago. That seems pretty accurate. You're always searching for the next experience. But really, there's usually one really influential experience that you always go back to, and it's always usually a 5-second feeling that you remember. The one I go back to, let's see if you can change this a little bit. That's nice. think it was. If I remember, yes, this is what it was. Molecular orbital theory. Gotta search for that feeling again. That's like last true happiness. Everything else is everything else falls beneath that. You can tell when I'm not telling a story anymore because my thoughts become more abstract and I tend to talk less and write more. Let's see how long it's been. An hour, 18 minutes. 7:09 a.m. I like the early morning streams. Even if people aren't around to watch them, I like them. But I'm okay with my small niche channel. I don't need a big channel. I am somewhat pleased. Oh, this is cool. I love this channel. The if anyone knows this guy is awesome. Let's go with yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. If anyone knows this guy, he's awesome. Michael of Vsauce. Always learn something unique. That should be no. That's okay. Anyway, I saw a video recently. I think I saw it yesterday. And it had to do with popularity. But popularity on a human or humanity timescale. So if you think that Taylor Swift is popular, or Donald Trump is popular, they might be popular right now. But are they the most popular humans that ever existed? Apparently not. Apparently, MIT has a program that somehow can calculate who the most important people are in all of human history. Now, number one on this list was Muhammad, which I have to say, I know almost I know nothing about. I know nothing about religion as it actually stands, or as it stands on its own. Everything I know about religion has to do with religion's impact on knowledge and society. I took a Christianity course in college, but that's it. My actual knowledge of religion as it stands on its own is almost nothing. I just thought that was interesting. They had Isaac Newton, I believe, as number 2 or 3, which is, I would say, yeah, he should actually be less important than that. But maybe he will be as time goes on. I guess we'll see. I think, if I remember correctly, let's see if I can spell this right. It was called the Pantheon Project. It measures popularity of humanity. It's a very interesting idea. I am probably going to fill up this sheet, and then I'm going to be done, I believe. So, people will have the opportunity to watch the stream later. It's probably a good thing that I didn't get any live viewers because I didn't want to be disrupted while I was telling that Reddit story. Because I believe that required some ability to tell the story in a certain way. I think in talking now, I just realized something pretty interesting. So, videos. So, videos require focus to make, right? And streaming is almost the opposite of focus. Now, what is it about videos and the nature of focusing that makes that such a difficult task? It's because relative to streaming, when you make a video, you have to get the flow of thoughts all in the same direction. One sentence or one claim is reliant on what you said before and where you want to go next. And that requires a lot of deliberation. That is why videos are harder to make than it is to stream. Streaming, on the other hand, if you make a claim, that claim doesn't necessarily have to follow to a next predetermined claim or something that you want to express. Streaming, any idea that you have can lead to any number of ideas that could possibly crop up. You have you have more opportunity. Videos, of course, give you opportunity, but you're operating much more in a, so I'll say, let's see, videos give you a finite box. Videos are much more pointed. They serve a purpose, of course, but they're not the best outlet for creativity. At least lecture videos are not. Streaming, on the other hand, the opportunity presented, if you sit here long enough and you don't get tired, are nearly endless. I don't know. I like streaming more than videos. I have a lot of videos to put up still, but I'm always waiting until I want to produce another video to actually put up a video, but I haven't really had the desire to make a video over the desire to stream. So we'll see when my next video is going to be uploaded. I don't know. I don't really care though. There's no plan here. Actually, getting back to the ADHD discussion for a little bit. You could argue that ADHD and streaming are a good fit. Now, of course, you don't need to have ADHD to be good at streaming. I don't have ADHD. I'm just good with abstract thoughts. But, again, I'll just say this very clearly, there are advantages to ADHD, just like there are advantages to most, if not all, behavioral abnormalities. I think that is really the takeaway message from this stream. There are advantages to most, if not all, behavioral abnormalities. Let's see. I think that is going to be all for this stream. It's now nearly 7:30. 6:29. I keep catching it on the nines. I think I think that's good. Again, I think the colorful text is nice. And it's pretty useful. And relatively fun time, I think. So, I will call that good. And I'll say, see you later, as an ant crawls on my keyboard. And I'll say this. Search for peace. Okay. Take one last look. Until next time.